Good morning and welcome back to the channel. It is Friday morning and we are already at 92 degrees here. It is a nice day because we got some rain last night. I don't know how many inches, if we got any inches, but we definitely got some rain. And I think it was starting to rain around 7 something, I think. But yeah, it's a nice day. It's gonna be a productive day. We are rocking and rolling with our satellite clinic and getting them their LIS connected to our middleware server. I got 3 instruments connected right now. Verified the orders crossing over from the satellite LIS. Now we just need to run some of those samples and send them back across to complete round trip testing for those ones, and then continue building the smaller volume work lists. Because you don't want to start with, like, say, your mass spec where it has over 1,000 organisms. Nope. I think I'll do a search for the mass on the Myla application to see what their most identified bugs were for maybe a couple years, and then I'll start the build with those. But that's later, probably next week or the week after. I did the Clinitech status, and then this morning will be point of care. I need to add more point of care tests, and then after that will be probably the breath ID analyzer. That only has 1 test, so that should be easy, and that's only 1 instrument. But nobody's flying around and the cop's not chasing anyone. See what's going on the news.
Start your weekend. Weather brought to you by Howard Aaron Plumbing. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Aaron Plumbing.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Start up blood to invest. Whether you're a big trader or whether you have a 401k, life can be complicated. Planning for retirement doesn't have to be.
So what we're looking at here,
like suspended reality, it's all being propped up by wage gains of recent years and what had been a strong labor market. But we've started to get some economic indicators showing cracks in the jobs market, and inflation, of course, has been chipping away at the wages buying power. All of this, by the way, is in focus today because of a big speech by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He's giving his final appearance as Fed Chair in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But the biggest question hanging over this is how long until companies decide they cannot afford to eat the tariffs anymore?
And really quickly, what's the answer?
Probably not forever. And imagine shoppers know this, which is why Home Depot says right now the number one thing that still keeps people from spending more is economic uncertainty.
NPR's Alina Selyuk. Thanks, Alina.
Thank you.
Given all this, we're going to zoom out a bit for a broader look at the U.S. economy. We called Mary Lovely for this. She's a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan research institution. She's with us now. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
So we just heard Alina talk about companies like Walmart warning of higher prices due to President Trump's tariffs. How significant is that warning, and what do you think it means for the economy?
Well, I think it's very significant, and Walmart, of course, is a place where you find a lot of traded goods, and we're seeing enormous pressure on the prices of traded goods because of President Trump's tariffs.
Traded goods being?
Anything that we import in large quantities and their domestic substitutes, because domestic prices rise when foreign prices rise, because U.S. producers are able to expand, and they do so to fill in the gap.
And what does it mean for the economy?
For the economy, it means that we're probably facing higher inflation. We saw last month, actually August, that consumers view the inflation that's ahead of them as higher than what the Fed would like. It rose to 4.9%. So consumers are feeling this. They don't see their wages keeping up. And people are starting to worry, how are they going to handle these price increases moving forward?
And just briefly, if a big retailer like Walmart, with presumably a lot of buying power in the marketplace, is saying it can't absorb all the tariff costs forever, what does that say about smaller businesses and how they might be able to cope?
Well, many small businesses are hit in two ways. Some of them will see higher prices because domestic competition, is hindered by the tariffs. But for many of them, they're seeing the prices of the goods they use to produce go up. So, for example, if you're a small boat manufacturer and you import the electric motor that goes in your boat, you're going to see that electric motor price increase. Or if you make knitted supplies, you're going to see the price of wool and other goods go up. So small businesses actually have been telling reporters for quite some time that the tariffs are hurting them.
So do you think that we are at an inflection point in the economy? And if so, what data points would you be looking at to determine that?
Yeah, I believe that Alina said we're in suspended reality. We're on the verge of something. We're not quite sure what it will be. I think this is the problem that's facing the Fed. GDP growth was a little higher in the second quarter of this year, but overall for 2025, it's pretty anemic. It's 1.2%. Imports have fallen, exports have fallen, prices are up, uncertainty is way, way up. We're seeing consumers, particularly at the lower end of the income distribution, really struggling. Interestingly, about 15% of all home sales agreements were canceled last month. That's very high. It suggests that people become very uncertain when they're trying to make big spending decisions about whether they'll have the income to support that spending. About a quarter of all student loans are late or in default. So many people are beginning to experience real struggles with their income. Employment is stalled, so people don't see that their job prospects are steady, have confidence that they're going to remain employed. The economy starts to sputter.
President Trump campaigned on the promise to lower prices for Americans. Some prices have come down, but what's your assessment overall of the reality of what his policies, or the impact of his policies on prices?
Well, one of the big prices that's come down is energy, and energy prices are very volatile. They go up, they go down all the time. The Fed often looks at what's called the core CPI, which strips out energy and food prices, and that was up 3.1% in July. So we are seeing pressure on prices. The producer price index, which catalogs what happens with the prices that producers pay, was up 3.3%. So there is concern about prices going up. At the same time, there's these pressures, which I noted earlier, about jobs and GDP. So as the Fed is considering what to do with interest rates, you have to realize that they have its dual mandate to maintain price stability and to keep the economy growing. And yet those two things are out of sync right now. There is a fear of what we have called, for those of us who were alive in the 1970s, stagflation, where the economy fails to grow or even falls into recession. And at the same time, we see inflation ticking up. So most economists don't see a recession on the near horizon, but it seems pretty hard to not look at the data and conclude that the economy is really starting to slow. And that's why people say it's an inflection point.
So before we let you go, we only have about 30 seconds left with the Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking to economists and central bankers in Jackson Hole, Wyoming today. What are you going to be listening for?
Well, everybody, of course, will be hanging on his words about the state of the economy, and if he throws some hints as to which way the Fed is leaning in terms of these interest rate cuts that are widely expected. But we will also look to see whether he talks about the need for accurate economic data, where people will remember that President Trump fired the chief labor statistic, and then also whether he'll talk about Fed independence from political pressure.
That is Mary Lovely. She's a senior fellow with the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Mary Lovely, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to check out the buyhopi.com website and the Buy Hopi Instagram and social media sites to look at some of the Hopi artists that are displayed in the gallery. Their contact information is in there. They would be a great resource for planning for holiday giving. Everything that, well, not everything, but a lot of them have their materials that are produced here in the United States, and so they shouldn't be seeing a lot of these materials or their supplies increasing significantly due to tariffs. And with some of the weavers, they get their wool from like a Navajo wool program in Flagstaff, and I'm sure there's others across the Navajo Nation. And then we also have like the Gila River Nation. They produce beans and flour. And the Navajo Nation, they also have a resource for corn, flour, cornmeal, stuff like that. So support the local indigenous farmers and our artists as well, because our artists, a lot of them on the Hopi Nation, and I don't know if it's a majority of those on the buyhopi.com website are solely dependent on profits from their art, but a lot of them do. That's their sole source of income. So if you check them out, order some dolls, order some pottery, some jewelry, start getting your orders placed for the upcoming holiday season and birthdays. Instead of buying stuff that are going to be affected by tariffs, why not buy local? Buy from indigenous artists. I got a couple birthdays coming up, so I'm gonna see. One of my buddies is on the buyhopi.com website, and he does Hopi overlay jewelry, and so I'm gonna see if I could order a couple pieces. And then there's also another artist from, I think, Monkopi, and she does really nice paintings and earrings and stuff like that. So I may try to place an order for some earrings. They come out really nice. And then there's also another artist that we've gotten, well, several people we've gotten art from the buyhopi.com website. But yesterday we saw some beautiful wooden bowls that were produced by a Hopi artist who lives down here. We were supposed to get some pictures, videos of them and showcase them, but we didn't do that yet. They're just still in the packaging material that was when they were picked up in yesterday. likely from the First Mesa area, but you never know. So yeah, just check out Buy Hopi and support your local artists. There's also a show this weekend in Flagstaff on Saturday and Sunday at the Flagstaff Mall, I believe. There's going to be a lot of artists there.